Are Mormon church leaders paid? The church makes misleading statements about how much the apostles and prophets of the church are paid. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and its leaders state regularly that there are no paid ministry, no professional clergy, and that no one is paid for their church service. This omits the fact that senior leaders of the church are paid with what is called a modest living allowance. Two significant leaks have shed light on the financial compensation received by top church leaders. While it is not inherently problematic for leaders of any organization, religious or otherwise, to be compensated, the LDS Church's lack of clarity about how its leaders are paid has created confusion and misunderstandings. Greater transparency from the church about its financial practices, including the nature of the compensation provided to general authorities, would help foster more trust and understanding among its members and the broader public. At the end of the day, the question isn't whether Mormon church leaders are paid, but rather why there has been a lack of straightforwardness about this reality. A more open dialogue on this topic could align the church's financial practices with its purported values of honesty and integrity. In this episode, let's review a few of the church's misleading statements about general authority compensation.
Welcome to the Mormon News Roundup, your go-to source for the latest headlines and critical analysis on all things LDS.
Breaking news!
Join D-Vay's
Mormon News Roundup.
That's talent on loan from Kolob every Sunday and Monday night.
We will uncover the truth behind the news that matters most to the Mormon community.
Elder Boyd Packer, an LDS apostle, wrote an article in the September 1979 Liahona entitled Follow the Brethren. He made this dubious claim in its pages.
In the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints there is no paid ministry, no professional clergy, as is common in other churches.
In 2004 General Conference, Thomas Monson, then the LDS Church president, made a dubious statement about general authority compensation.
Why is your church so wealthy that you can afford to build buildings throughout the world? How do you get your money? I answered that the church is not wealthy, but that we follow the ancient biblical principle of tithing. I explained also that our church has no paid ministry, and indicated that these were two reasons why we're able to build the buildings then underway, including the beautiful temple at Freiberg.
At the same time that he made that statement, he was receiving general authority compensation of at least $97,201 as a living allowance. Dallin Oaks also made potentially misleading statements in his general conference in 2012.
We have no professionally trained and salaried clergy in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
At that same time, he was receiving at least $124,022 as a living allowance as an apostle for the church. Not only did senior leaders of the church make misleading statements about general authority compensation, the church's official manuals also did so. The Preach My Gospel Teaching Manual is a guide used by missionaries of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to teach its core doctrines and principles of the faith. It focuses on helping missionaries develop Christ-like attributes, strengthening their understanding of the gospel, and improving their teaching skills. On page 87 of the 2004 version of Preach My Gospel, we also get another dubious claim.
All of the work in the church is voluntary. No one is paid for such service.
It's so important here to note that the church's claim that the general authority's living allowances don't come from tithing is something that would need external auditing to confirm. Yet the church does not engage in external auditing. Here's a leaked payroll stub of Henry Eyring during the pay period of April 1999. We can see clearly that he is being compensated as a general authority of the church. His pay is listed as reimbursements of $5,422. He's also given a child allowance, a living allowance, and parsonage. His net pay for this 2-week period is $7,864. This would push his total compensation to over $200,000 for that year. And another leaked document also gives us further insights into general authority compensation. The leaked living allowance increased for the 2014 letter, which was addressed to Elder Porter of the First Quorum of the 70. This letter reads in part,
In accordance with approved procedures, the annual general authority-based living allowance has been increased from $116,400 to $120,000. This will begin with your paycheck issued on January 10, 2014.
It appears that all of the general authorities are on the same compensation level. After all of the leaked documents and the work done by Ryan McKnight and the Mormon Leaks and Truth and Transparency Foundation, the church was finally forced to admit of its duplicitous statements. On the LDS Church's official website, under the Frequently Asked Questions section, the church asks, "Do general authorities get paid?" And the church provides a more honest and revealing answer.
General authorities are given a living allowance, which enables them to focus all of their time on serving in the church. The living allowance is uniform for all general authorities. None of the funds for this living allowance come from the tithing of church members, but instead from proceeds of the church's financial investments.
And that wraps up this quick episode of the Mormon News Roundup, where we've tackled the church's potentially misleading statements about whether general authorities are paid. After reviewing leaders' statements, church manuals, and even leaked pay stubs, it seems pretty clear that Mormon leaders are compensated. So the big question is, why hasn't the church been more direct about this fact? It's a curious conundrum. On the one hand, the church prides itself on its honesty, but when it comes to financial matters, particularly regarding leader compensation, things seem to get a bit murky. Whether it's about maintaining a certain image or the fear of backlash, or simply a deeply entrenched culture of non-disclosure, the lack of clarity seems to raise more questions than it answers. As always, we encourage you to dig deeper, ask critical questions, and demand transparency from any organization that claims to represent truth. Thanks so much for joining us today, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and tune in next time for more updates and insights into the ever-fascinating world of Mormonism. And remember, no unheld hand can stop this podcast from progressing.